Workspaces in Premiere Pro. The All Panels workspace is, as it says on the tin, a workspace that you have access to all the panels. So over here is the source window. You also have the effects control, Lumetri scopes, audio mixer, audio track mixer, capture, edit to tape, and this drop down menu shows all the rest. Over here you have the program window, title and reference. Effects, graphic controls, as you can see, all the windows are accessible. For me, the All Panels window is not very useful. This is the assembly workspace in Premiere Pro. This is the workspace that is often used for bringing a project together. So as you can see, you've got a nice big project window where you can see lots of your footage at once. You can use the different views and everything is very easy to see, and the project itself is very easy to navigate. With this workspace you have a much smaller timeline, but the program window is quite a nice size. This is where a lot of people use to assemble their footage. This is the editing workspace. It is the workspace that people will probably use most often. It gives you nice large access to your timeline so that you can see a nice overview of what you've already edited or the space you've got to edit in, a smaller project window than you had in the assembly panel, and the same size program window. This gives you access to all the tools you would need for your standard editing, as well as your effects and effects control, as well as your audio mixing. Like I've said before, you can always add extra windows into any workspace by going Window, finding the window you want, ticking it, it will appear, and then you can drag and drop it where you wish. This is the colour workspace. The colour workspace is often used after you finish the edit and you want to grade your footage. It's very handy because as you click on any clip, a Lumetri colour is applied to that clip and you can edit it as you wish with all the different colour tabs. It's much easier than going back to the editing workspace, dragging the Lumetri colour from the effects and working that way. There's a lot more visual way of doing it, and it allows you much more fine control. A great tip for this workspace is if you drag this panel out, obviously that goes a lot smaller, the program, but you can always drag this to make it larger, and then you have much finer control over these movements, which can mean that you have a lot more precision with your grading. So to get that back to how it was, we go Workspace, Reset to Saved Layout, and there we go, that snaps back to how it was. The Effects Workspace. The Effects Workspace is, as it says on the tin, this is the best way to access all the effects that you have. You have a nice effects window up here, so we could search for a blur. Then all the blurs come up. The most common one I use is the Gaussian blur. You can drag and drop it as you wish. Then you have nice access to the effects controls and you can do as you wish. I don't tend to use this panel, I tend to keep it in the editing space as this is just what works for me, but you might find it works differently for your workflow. Next we have the audio workspace. The audio workspace has had lots of updates over the past few years, allowing you to do things like tag audio as dialogue, music, sound effects, or ambience. These can be very useful because then you can set your music to auto dip when dialogue comes in, and it's a very powerful piece of software, very powerful workspace that may save you lots of time. Also, you can edit tracks a bit more sophisticatedly in this workspace without having to open additional windows, they're just already there. The graphics workspace. This is possibly my third most used one after editing in colour. I'll tend to use the graphics quite a lot because you have access to all your pre-done graphics. You can add more by going down here, install motion graphics template, and then you can click and add in one of these .mogrt files into the project, and then it will show up like one of these. In the graphics workspace as well, if you have some text, let's add some text with the text tool onto the scene. So we'll call it text test. You then have the edit option for this, which is very good. You can center the text. You can change the size of it quite easily. Once it is highlighted, you can change the size quite easily. The alignment, and do many things in here. Shadow background. It's a full text editing suite. Also, if you click off that and click back on it again, there you go, you're straight back in there. And you can add multiple layers of text in this to one clip on the timeline. The graphics workspace is very powerful, especially if you are either accessing templates that are already made. Let's drag this one down. As you can see, it loads the files. Then you can go into there. You see this doesn't fit to the screen, so I can go set to frame size. And there we go, we can edit that. We can change the colour of the rectangle, so say we want it to be that colour. You can change the text to text test 1, 2, 3. And there we go. You can edit it shorter if you need to. The libraries workspace. This is where you can use your subscription to Adobe Stock right in Premiere without ever having to leave the software. So we can search in Adobe Stock. So we will search in Adobe Stock for some footage of a car. And there we go. We can then either purchase that, add it to our basket, or if you have the subscription, you can just drag it and drop it to the timeline. So that is the libraries. So that is a more in-depth overlook on the workspaces in Premiere Pro. Hope this has been helpful. Hope it's shown you what the different workspaces can be used for, how it can speed up your workflow. Please consider subscribing if you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you.